Okay, we are on in Yaakov. We're on.
I brought you.
Okay, you're in the wrong book. Fine. Bracho, you'll just listen now. Bracho, we're on 27b. Last time we were discussing the famous case of Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Yeshua. Rabban Gamliel is the Nasi, the president of the Sanhedrin, and Rabbi Yeshua is the Av Beit Din. He's the second in control of the Sanhedrin. And there was a question on the ground. A student presented the question: is Ma'ariv, the evening service, is it reshut, permissible? In other words, or is it a chova? Is it a commanded thing to do, obligation? And last week we talked about what that meant, so I refer you back. But very quickly, it's just a matter of the argument, philosophical argument was: do we go by the beginning, namely learning? That's the most important, or do we go by ma'aseh, the action? That's more important. So if we go by the learning is more important, then Ma'ariv becomes reshut, becomes permissible. If I have the opportunity to do it, I should do it. If I don't, I don't. Versus chova, whereas I'm going by the action. The action is the main thing. Because if action is the main thing, so then I learned about Ma'ariv, I need to do it, sort of concept, okay? So Rabban Gamliel said it's chova, and Rabbi Yeshua said it is reshut, okay? We rule like Rabbi Yeshua against Rabban Gamliel, which is strange, because Rabban Gamliel is the Nasi, and the Nasi has the final say, which is what causes this whole dilemma, okay? Now, let's go on. That's where we were. So, Haya Rabban Gamliel, Yoshev Doresh, so Rabban Gamliel was sitting and he was lecturing. Rabbi Yeshua Omed al Raglav. Oh, if you remember what happened was, Rabban Gamliel he was asked by the student, is it Reshut or Chova? He told the student, it's Chova. He said, how can you say it's Chova when Rabbi Yeshua says it's Reshut? So he said, okay, I'll present this tomorrow when we're all in the Beis Medrash, and then we'll see what happens. So he did. The student presented it in front of the Beis Medrash, and Rabban Gamliel said, Chova, nobody disagreed. Rabbi Yeshua said he didn't disagree. So Rabban Gamliel said, Rabbi Yeshua, I heard it was said in your name that by this man that you said is reshut, and did you say nothing today? So that's when he said, I can't lie. If he was here, since he's here, I can't lie because he's alive. He can testify against me. Therefore, yes, I admit that I said it was true. But if you say it's chova, so he's not going to fight. So Rabban Gamliel said, no, it's not good enough. Stand up on your feet. Stand up while I'm lecturing, which was an insult. Okay. So he's treating him like a little boy. And Rabbi Yoshua is older than Rabban Gamliel. So we have to keep this in mind too. And he's also a tremendous Talmud Chacham. So here we go. So Haya Rabban Gamliel Yoshev Doresh. So Rabban Gamliel continued sitting and lecturing. Rabbi Yeshua Omed al Raglav. And as following her orders, Rabbi Yeshua was standing on his feet. Al Shirinenu Kol Ha'am. Until all the people started to murmur against this Rabban Gamliel with indignation. Okay, we were seeing what every rabbi has to put up with. You don't like what I'm about to say, or you like what I'm doing. This guy. The Amru the Chutzpit HaTorgaman Amod, and they said to Chutzpit, the announcer, every rabbi, every great lecturer had a Torgaman, so he would say something, and the Torgaman would announce it to everybody. Because the voice wasn't loud enough. He was like the loudspeaker. So he would explain to everybody, fine. And they said, stop the lecture. And he stopped. He stopped the lecture. He wouldn't say what he wanted. Fine. So what happens? The Amri, they said, Ad Kaman, Tzareh v'Nezel. How long will Rabban Gamliel go on distressing Rabbi Yeshua? Berosh Hashanah Ishtakad Sari. On Rosh Hashanah last year, he distressed him. How did he distress him? Because he told Rabbi Yeshua said that Yom Kippur was on a different day than Rabban Gamliel. So Rabban Gamliel said, dress in your clothes, take your staff, and come to me on the day that you think is Yom Kippur, which you're not allowed to carry. And Rabbi Yeshua did so because the Nasi told him to do it. You can't have two Torahs in the world. There's only one person who can rule. So at that point, he did. And the people took umbrage at Rabbi Yeshua's having to give in to his, to Rabban Gamliel. They didn't like that. Okay. Then, that's not the first time though. B'chorot, Master Rabbi Sadok Netzare, in the matter of the firstborn, in the incident with Rabbi Sadok, he distressed him. And that was the Gemara in Bechoros relates that Rabbi Sadok, a Kohen, had Bechor, which is a firstborn kosher animal, which he testified had become blemished unintentionally. And the law is that a Bechor must be given to the Kohen, who in turn must bring it as a sacrifice. In the absence of the temple, the Kohen must wait until the Bechor accidentally develops a blemish. He then may slaughter it and eat it even outside the temple. The Kohen owner, however, having a monetary interest in the Bechor's being declared permissible, is not believed to say that the blemish occurred accidentally. So Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Yeshua disputed the status of the animal, since Rabbi Sadok was not only a Kohen, but was also a Torah scholar, who was really not suspect of lying, with Rabbi Yeshua permitting the animal for slaughter and Rabban Gamliel prohibiting it. The Gemara there relates that a sequence of events similar to the present one transpired wherein Rabban Gamliel forced Rabbi Yeshua to remain standing while Rabban Gamliel continued the lecture. So again, that's two types of embarrassment. One more, he says, V'achanami, and now today, Sa'are, he distressed him. Ta unavre, come, let's depose him. Rabban Gamliel is gone. We're through with him. Embarrassing, such a gadol. Rabbi Yeshua doesn't deserve this. You're fired. Now, think about what's going on here. This is the same thing for all rabbis who have to deal with the boards, okay? Here you have your contemporaries, even worse than the boards. They're contemporaries, and they know how halacha is operating, and they don't like what their leader is doing. So instead of saying, we're going to put up with all this mishigas, and because he's the leader, they say, no, what we have to do is we have to depose him, because this is unacceptable behavior. Now, we learned before, by the way, and many times in halacha, that if somebody is doing something inappropriate, such as sexual immorality or something like that, even if they are a Talmid Chacham, we're not allowed to learn from them. If they are Rasha, if they are wicked, again, regardless of their brains and how well they can drush everything out, we're not allowed to listen to them. Here, it's not a matter of that. Here, it's a matter of Rabban Gamliel is doing what he thinks is best for the Jewish world by trying to control the situation and trying to say, even though Rabbi Yeshua is the Av Beitin and has that sort of clout and is a Talmud Chacham, no question you're a Talmud Chacham, but there can only be one boss. And if I rule one way and you rule another way, there's a possibility, because of your greatness, that people are going to follow you, and my fans will follow me. That cannot happen. This is not a democracy. This is what's the other one?
Aristocracy?
No, that's
Theocracy.
No, well, theocracy, yes, but this is when I'm the king. This is a monarchy. This is a dictatorship. This has to be a dictatorship. Otherwise, people are going to come out with two different Torahs. And that's what he's trying to maintain. His colleagues don't agree with him. They don't agree. And they say, no, that's it. We have to depose you. What happens? So I want to run through this a little. I know I have another class coming, but okay. So man nokam le. Who should we appoint instead? Okay, let's fire the guy. Fine. Like I always say to everybody, it's easy to get rid of somebody, but now you have to replace him. What are you going to do? Okay. So he says, no, man, Rabbi Yeshua. Shall we appoint Rabbi Yeshua? After all, he's the one who's being embarrassed. And they said, nah, we can't do that. Why? Because he's a Baal Matzehu. He's personally involved in the incident. He's no Gepa Davar. It's going to be horrible. Because if we do that, so then Rashi explains that Rabban Gamliel will be really hurt. You just took out I punished him, so you take him out, and you want to punish me by putting him in my place. Remember, I'm Rabban Gamliel, I come from Hillel, I come from David HaMelech. It's unbelievable. You want to replace me with him? You can't do that. I don't care how big of a chacham he is. They were afraid of this animosity. And again, if you have the animosity, you're going to have the two groups. So you don't want to do that. We're learning a whole Gemara of Losses. You can't have such a separation. Okay. That was one person. Then they said, Nuk Meir Rebbe Akiva. Okay, maybe we should appoint Rebbe Akiva. Rebbe Akiva, the great Rebbe Akiva. He was an ignoramus for 40 years. He went to yeshiva. Suddenly he's learned day and night. Gave up his home life as well, happily from his wife. He has 24,000 students. His reputation is world renowned. Let's appoint him. What's wrong with him? They say, Dilma Anishle delayed leZechut Avot. It's not a good idea because Rabban Gamliel, as we see many times in the Gemara, if they give a curse to somebody, it works. And he doesn't have the merit of his forefathers who were learning before him because he was an ignoramus. So he's going to die. Oh, and it's also, by the way, he's descendant of Pros. His father, Rabbi Akiva's father, was a convert. So it doesn't mean he doesn't have such clout when that the fathers in heaven should intervene on his behalf. So it's not a good idea to put Akiva into the what's it called when you're shooting, there's wires. Yeah, what's it called? The crosshairs. Crosshairs. The crosshairs of Rabban Gamliel. Not a good idea. Okay. So Ella Nukmil Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. So rather, let us appoint Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Why? To who? Chacham. He's a person who's wise. Vu Asher, and he's rich. Vu Asir Ezra, and not only that, but you know how much his lineage goes? It goes all the way back to Ezra. He's the 10th generation for Ezra. He has a lot of zechut, a lot of merits. Okay, so who Chacham? How do we know he's wise? Because so if you ask him something, he'll be able to answer. But who Asher? He's wealthy. Why does that matter? If in case he has to deal with the house of Caesar, he is like Rabban Gamliel, who'll be able to go and deal with it. He's rich. He can buy his way out of this problem. Okay? He can pay off to Caesar. But who Asir Ezra, and why is it important to know he's the 10th generation to Ezra? So that because he has the merit of his righteous forefathers, Rabban Gamliel won't be able to cause him punishment. Okay, so that seems like the logical choice. Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. And the choice was adopted. Atu v'amalei. So they came to Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. They said, Nichale lamar d'leheve reish metivta? Is it pleasing that you should become the head of our yeshiva? Now, I want you to think about this. And again, I feel bad for the kid out there. I want you to think about this. Here you have the Sanhedrin. You are a judge. You've been learning your whole life. And they come to you and say, would you like to be the leader of the Jewish Supreme Court? What would you answer?
Logically, you'd say yes. Yeah?
You'd say yes. What would you answer?
Yeah, it seems like a part of your
sense. It's like this was a way for my whole life. Unbelievable. I never would have thought. Blah blah blah. What's he say? Azil ve'imlos debetu. I have to ask my wife.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna ask my wife. Okay? Which I think is, and I want to remind me because I want to go through this next week. But I'm just going to hit the story for a second. But Amalei, he said to her, she said to him, Rabbi Elazar, Tzaddik, calm down. Dilma Avir Lach, perhaps they'll remove you as well from the post. You think you're so great? Right now they're angry. They want to depose somebody. Very nice. And they want to appoint you. But people are going to cool down. And if you cool down, who are you? They'll remove you. And now you'll be embarrassed. So maybe you shouldn't take it. That's number one, she says. Amrale, he said to her, let a person use a precious glass cup one day, the next day, let it break. In other words, I want to do it for one day. If it doesn't work, it's on my resume. I was the president of Sanhedrin for one day. Think about it. I can't go any higher. I was the president. So Amrullah, she said to him, late chivarata, but you have no white hairs in your beard. You're 18 years old. It's not nice that you should be, a lecturer has to be older. Hahuch yoma. That day, Bar Tamne Shana, that day Rebbe Elazar was 18 years old. It was his birthday. So what's the gift that God gave him because of his wife's precious words? Ibrachishla Nisa, and a miracle occurred for him. Bahadre le Tamne Sre Dare Chivarata. He had 18 rows of hair in his beard. They turned white. Okay, so the wife cursed him. He got white hair after this. And said, you're not old enough? And that's, now by the way, you'll appreciate this from the Yagada, Hayinu Dekama. That's why it says that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said, Hareani Kibben Shivim Shana. I am like a man of 70 years old, below Kibben Shanim, but he didn't say I am a man of 70 years old. Okay? We'll have to stop here. But it's I want to understand that there's an amazing story under this story, which I want to go through next week, God willing. And it's understanding what really was going on, why he went to his wife and said, let me ask, instead of just saying, it'd be my greatest honor to serve at for the people. Why did he just say that? That's a tremendous question that has to be addressed. Also, why not these other people? Why depose the guy in the first place? Did they actually have grounds to depose the Rabban Gamliel? That's another question. Do you have grounds? Because it's not so easy to fire somebody in that position. Or any position. When people want to get rid of rabbis, priests, and everything else. If there's a real reason, sexual immorality, blah, 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 all that, no question. Throw him out. He's gone. If he's a Rasha, throw him out. He's gone. But when he's doing what he always did, and he has logical reasons behind that, do you have any right to depose him? That's another question we have to address. Okay, we'll have to stop there. I have to get to the next class.